Alright guys, such Scrappy again. I hope you're doing good and enjoying your day. So for a shocking turn of events last night, after months of waiting for the process to officially arrive, yesterday was meant to be the day. 7 PM Central Time, the 11th of November. Trust the process was launching, but it turns out that did not quite happen. Not exactly sure why still as of yet, but OpTic tweeted out yesterday there was set to be a delay in the rendering or whatever of the process. Once again, some controversy in the release of this documentary, and Shotzzy also gives some perspective on another OpTic drama of the day. Reports have it that some of their OpTic Halo players, they want to play COD for the upcoming season. That may not be as easy as they initially thought. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Lots to get into. FaZe Vegas, the season's about to get underway. This is their roster of 4, with the jerseys likely being hidden in some regards. They're also hosting the World Championship this year. How good will this team be? Time will tell on that one. There is some questions, however, on this team, because Slasher, Nero, Lurks and Craze confirmed us the Ravens roster the other day. Look, we did our rankings in the Dope Check show a couple of days ago. I want to think this team could be quite good, but I had a hard time putting them anywhere other than 12th, and to be honest, that opinion is doubled down upon because of this yesterday. So Brian Saint says, last night in Charlotte, it's been a fun 1.5 years. Brian Saint, of course, coach, general manager of the Ravens. That's been the case for some time. We thought that Space Station Gaming were coming in. We're not really sure exactly why that didn't happen or whose decision it was to pull out of that, whether it was Space Stations, whether it was the league saying, hey, you've missed the deadline. You know, there was clearly some sort of deadline for rebranding the team, whatever. The point is, that never happened. We're stuck with Ravens for another year, an organization that can, well, barely afford to stay in the league, it seems, especially because of this. So we all know that Brian Saint had this penthouse in Charlotte, presumably paid for by the team or whatever. That's where they would play from. So their players would live wherever they were, but relatively locally, and then they would turn up to Brian Saint's penthouse and play the matches from there. That was kind of like their team house, as it were, I suppose. And, well, that was not exactly successful, but it wasn't terrible, given the circumstances. But no, that's no longer a thing. So they're leaving Charlotte. Brian Saint says it's been fun. Radiation goes, you know, you're going to Texas, because all the other teams are going to Texas, right? Even Thieves, they wanted to be based in Texas. That's what happened there. Pretty sure Surge as well after a year in Vancouver. Those guys want to be in Texas too. I think that might be happening. That's been the same way for G2 Minnesota, you know, as they are now known instead of Rokkr. Loads of these orgs have moved their players at least to Texas. Better internet spot. That's where those guys want to be. Keeps the team happy. If you're going to do a team house, you're going to put the guys in the same spot. That's the place to be. So people thought, okay, maybe Ravens, they're finally coughing up the money. But of course, no. Brian Saint says, no, the team will be remote this year. So I don't know if there's going to be any other teams that are going to be remote, but the point is that Ravens at least gave themselves a fighting chance over the last couple of years. This year is just going to be purely about cashing in as much as possible, paying the least that they possibly can, and getting bought out next year. That seems the way to me. But yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. I think that's pretty unfortunate. Their team, who knows how they'll do. Some reaction to Black Ops 7 as well. This I thought was kind of interesting. Of course, another screenshot here of Express. Black Ops 2 map came back in Cold War. It's now back again here in Black Ops 7. Now, they talked about, during the beta, open matchmaking. So, skill-based matchmaking is gone. They'd tested it in that mosh pit mode. They were happy with the reaction. Looked like they were going to double down, and skill-based matchmaking was going to be gone from pubs. Now, they are backtracking slightly before release here, which does make me somewhat concerned. They said the following: the majority of Black Ops 7's multiplayer playlists will have open matchmaking, which will be similar to the beta experience, where skill is minimally considered. So I guess firstly we can discuss this. Okay, open matchmaking, that's what they discussed, right? So ping is the most important factor in creating good lobbies rather than the skill of the players. It's how it should be, in my opinion, unless you're playing ranked play where you can actually see what your skill level is. Not a discussion I'm going to go into again. The point being, though, why is it only similar, right? Is that similar in a positive or a negative way? Because to me that sounds like, yeah, maybe we went a bit too far in the beta and we're going to scale it back a little bit. It's going to be similar to the beta where skill was minimally considered, but now maybe that's not going to be quite as true as it previously was. Then they say that there's going to be a skill-based matchmaking mosh pit. So if you want to play SBMM lobbies, you can. I guess the point is that before Ranked comes out, if you want to play against people of the same skill, you can choose to do so in a non-competitive mosh pit. I don't really understand why you'd ever want to do that unless you can actually see your own skill level and work to improve it. But whatever. That's what Traixx had to say. The other Black Ops 7 update is on the camos. Not going to go into much detail on this, but a number of camos that you guys may well know and remember are coming back. So apparently all of these are making the return. I mean, Afterlife, Aqua, even Bacon camo from Black Ops 2, Weaponized 115, Cherry Blossom. I mean, I remember a number of these camos from Black Ops 2. These are some of them in a screenshot here. This is Aqua Camo, which is probably of these, like the Benjamins and all this, but probably Aqua Camo is one of the most famous of all time. Like a brilliant camo in Black Ops 2. Used to run it on the M8. Apparently these camos are coming back for Black Ops 7, so we'll see if that happens in due course. But let's get into some of the drama. We've seen some tournaments over the last couple of days. Zinni's running a couple of things. Well, he ran the event the other day, the Modern Warfare 3 one. We've got the 10k switcheroo when Black Ops 7 comes out. Spin the wheel the day before, run the tournament the day after. But yesterday was meant to be the day the process dropped, right? Everyone was looking forward to the movie that Roger's put together over the last couple of months. We got to see some teasers over the last few days, what it's going to be looking like. Yesterday was meant to be the day. Now, like, I don't know what they're going to talk about with regard to Purj and all that stuff at the start of the season. The reality is it is a 3-hour-long movie, has been described, so I'm sure there's got to be something in there about it, but there may not be any more information. But yesterday was meant to be 7 p.m. Central Time, 1 a.m. here in the UK, 2 a.m. in Europe, that it was going to drop. But yesterday, OpTic put this out. Update, tonight's YouTube premiere of Trust the Process is not going live as planned. We will go live with the premiere tomorrow. No time attached to this as well. Presumably the same time again today, right? But okay, they put a couple of pictures out. One outputting coding, remaining time near enough 6 hours, and then a screenshot, of course, of the full documentary in its full form. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I first saw this, I thought they must be just trolling us, because I'm like, there's no way that after months of preparing this documentary and it being perfect timing to launch it about 3 days before the launch of the new title, now was the time to go. It was done, it was ready, presumably, right? Roger had kind of implied that it was ready, and you would think that for a documentary of this level, it would be finished, it would be finalized, it would be uploaded to YouTube, every possible other issue resolved before then you get ready to premiere, right? I mean, look, we did our 1-hour video recap of the Call of Duty League season 2025 just the other day on YouTube, and we had dates and times we planned to get it out, but we had to make sure, okay, is the final version rendered? You know, we've got a couple of songs in there that with licenses attached. You've got to put them in and then get those licenses added so that they doesn't have any copyright strikes and all this stuff. So you've got to, that takes some time. You want to make sure you've got it up at least a day before so you can resolve any issues, make sure it's all ready to go, and then hit the premiere, right? So the fact that that is not the case is, to me, very surprising, right? So I don't exactly know where this is coming from. My only theory about this is because, look, the people behind this documentary are clearly not incompetent, right? I'm sure it's going to be a spectacular piece of content. The idea of rendering it on the day and therefore it not being ready, because, you know, you're uploading a 3-hour video to YouTube. It's got a process. It's got to go through, especially if it's in a very high quality. That's going to take a bit of time to do. As I say, you've got licenses and potential copyright issues and other things that you want to make sure are resolved as well. You know, this is something you want to be doing days in advance rather than a number of hours. And to premiere it on the same day that you're going to render it, it's just like, that is never going to work in a million years. So Ronnie was like, yeah, this must be a troll. As I say, the only conclusion that I can come up with on this is they had to change something. It's the only theory that I have as to why this would be the case. That there was something in there that they needed to add or to remove or that they wanted to change, or I don't know. and therefore they had to re-render it again with a newer version, and therefore it was going to get delayed. I can't see any other explanation. So yeah, fascinated to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But again, it's just another chapter in the saga, isn't it, right? Like, initially we thought maybe it would be here in August, then they said, okay, definitely by September. Then we heard nothing until the end of October. Then they were like, okay, it's finally here. Roger's cooked up an absolute masterpiece. And then it's ready on the 11th. Perfect timing, just a few days before Black Ops 7 came on out, and then it gets delayed. So, yeah, it's an absolute mess, I'm not going to lie. It doesn't massively change things for me. Like, it's still going to be fascinating, I'm sure. But not a great few days for OpTic. I think that's got to be clearly said. The other drama with regard to OpTic, and I'll share the Shotzzy clips here in a second, is on this. So over the last few days, there have been some questions, and I've actually got the initial tweet right here. There was also Zinni, he tweeted out, like, I went to give Roger a spanking, but that did not really go to plan. This was the initial tweet that I wanted to say on the Halo things. So CDC Intel comes out and says, on the Halo players, number of guys looking to come over, not a single one has found a roster as it stands. Renegade and Bound were rumoured to have a team in the works. That's now fallen through. Collect, Cloud9 player, was also rumoured to have a team, but that's also chalked up. Precision is rumoured to have a top Halo offer next year anyway, so will likely stay, and said he will play at the start of the year with his teammate Yakton, both of which said they were coming over to COD. And there's another couple of guys as well that are notable. So lots of the Halo players that said they were moving over, free agent for Black Ops 7, that's now not happening. Now, it seems that part of this, at least, is because of some level of politics, right? There are valid reasons, as in lots of the Halo players, they don't have COD experience, they don't have any pro points, so Challengers players will prefer to play with players that do. But also, there might be some level of concern as like, well, you know, if I give this guy a spot and he's good, then he might get the CDL offer over me. So I think there's a little bit of politics going on. There's some talk about Renegade as well, because he made a brief transition in Black Ops 4 when Shotzzy did. That didn't really go to plan, but I still think the talent there is pretty undeniable. But then we got this from the rotation, because Renegade and Bounds, those are kind of the big names really coming over from the OpTic Halo team. Certainly Renegade, to be honest, apart from Legend, who's going straight into the league, by the way. So that's the strange dichotomy here. You've got Legends, no COD experience, straight into the Pro League on Surge. And then you've got a number of other Halo players can't even get a spot in challenges for various reasons. So the rotations say, Streets are saying OpTic Halo players are getting COD teams chalked because OpTic won't approve it. So this is the interesting thing. We saw there was some discussion on, well, could Illy captain up a team with Renegade and Bound and effectively make it OpTic Nation? CDC Intel says that's also what I've heard, but hopefully it gets sorted. The implication being that OpTic aren't very happy with their players going to play for different orgs, because, you know, let's not forget what Hex said when those guys announced free agent. He was like, no, you're not a free agent, right? You're still contracted here. So there might be a solution that they can come up with, but it is nonetheless very interesting. So Shotzzy responds to this and says, look, as far as he's concerned, that is not how it is.
What's their Twitter? Oh, you guys are trolling me, dude. There's no way. Streets are saying OpTic Halo players are getting COD Challenger teams chalked because OpTic won't approve it? What? That is literally a lie. Or, well, I mean, I don't make those decisions, but there's no... Bro, I know how Hector works, bro. Trust me, dude. I know how Hector works. There's literally no way. Be careful, you're going around at night. Chances of being robbed at knife point is high. What? Are you trolling me?
I didn't do anything.
No, he's not lying?
They might have did something. Hold on.
Ah, yeah. I'm not going outside. What? I thought Birmingham was lit as fuck. It does not sound lit. Alright, bet. I'm not bringing no chains, no nothing.
Certainly not the smoothest few days for OpTic Gaming as an organisation, but, you know, presumably if all goes to plan, the premiere of the process will be ready to go tonight. Maybe their players will end up on OpTic Nation, or they'll figure something out from the Halo side when COD launches in just a couple of days' time, and then the season isn't far from getting underway as well. But very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
You gotta tap in with Danny G when you're at Birmingham Major 2? Is that like your barber? Who's that? Who's Danny G? I'm down, bro. I'm down. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but I'm with it.
What's good, Kier? How you doing?
No way, you just shouted at me down the microphone.
What did I fucking shout you down the mic for? Playing your fucking mouth, mate. I'm a grown man. You sent me a message first, yeah? I live in Smethwick, Birmingham. If you want the fucking brawl, come down Smethwick, ask for Danny G. I'll come out my house and I'll break your fucking legs, you little prick. Now